Yo, what's going on, everyone? We are back again, another WrestlePurists Worldwide podcast hosted by myself, Manny the Hooper, Joe Hulbert, either of WrestlePurists, better known to some of you as Backup Hangman. And we've got a lot to talk about from this weekend. A lot to talk about indeed. AEW All In, the record-breaking Wembley Stadium show, very highly anticipated. And I thought they'd done a really good job with the show they put on. But we're going to get into it. We're also going to get into the backstage of AEW All In. And we're going to get into rumours of some potential incomings of AEW. And a lot to get into. A lot to get into. Manny the Hooper, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm ready to talk some graps.
Ready to talk some graps? Rubbing his hands together. This could be a special one from the Hooper. Joe Hulbert, how are you doing today?
I'm good, mate. I'm a little tired. Last night was pretty eventful. It's quite the show, quite the night. I forgot what Wembley Way was like. That was something I was reminded of.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Like when you have to walk through as like a collective, like
Yeah.
walking. I've done that as like a football fan. Doing that with wrestling fans while everyone's doing like LA Knight promos was. I've had better experiences.
I didn't get much of that, which surprised me.
You did the scrum though, right? So by the time you left, it was slowed down.
Yeah, but like going to there because it was like going to the building.
Oh, going was fine.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yes, it's because they're slowing down for the train station. Anyway, it was a hell of a night. I'm slightly tired, but I'm excited to be here nonetheless, mate.
Yeah, Ibu, and how are you doing, my good friend?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, not much to say. Very eventful weekend. Physically recovering because my back is in pretty shitty shape.
When are you going to do something about that?
Well, it got worse. And so
that tends to happen if you don't do anything about it,
I was doing therapy and stuff. And what happened, so here's my thing. When I get injured, I nurse myself to like 60% and I'm like, I can work with this. And then I stop there. And that's what's happened. That's why I have bad knees. And now here with my back, I got it to about 60 and I was like, no, I'll be all right. And then like this weekend I had like a really bad setback. So I'm working through that one right now. But besides that, eventful weekend, man. Watched a lot of mainstream wrestling, watched some independent. The Bray Wyatt tribute from SmackDown was well handled. Really nice show.
Absolutely.
And it was nice that it's weird to you almost like I don't know how to. It's cool that people came out to watch that show because it was the most watched SmackDown in 3 years, and even the rating that it's compared to from 2020 was like a fake number because it was following like football. People came out and showed their respects to Bray, and the company did a good job with that as well. So that was cool. And then I watched Rev Pro, and that was a thing that I watched. And then I watched AEW All In, and it was one of the overall. It might be one of the best wrestling shows of all time, to be honest. Just as a total package stadium event with, good atmosphere, good vibes, and some really nice matches. So I'm excited to get into that, especially considering that my favorite wrestler had a killer opener, and we'll definitely talk about that too. So happy to be here.
He's definitely been in the eye of the headlines and the news and the eye of the storm recently, Mr. CM Punk. But yeah, first thing first, before we actually dive into all this, please like, subscribe, super chat. Hope everyone is doing good. We've got a couple super chats to start us off. But yeah, keep them coming. Matchman84, $5. He says, between Mox dressed like Chono, Sting's Metallica entrance, and Jericho doing the 50-plus year-old Rana I have ever seen, All In was an all-timer show. Yeah, man, All In was a great show. Absolutely, we're gonna break it now. We're gonna get right into it. Matchfan84 again, $2. Appreciate it. Manny, gun to the head. Better in ring, Jericho Punk.
If we break this down, I mean, when Jericho gets put in one of these big spots, he fucking rises to the occasion. But I think Punk is more consistent, so I'm gonna go with Punk.
Okay.
No, wait. I'll stay with Punk.
Ibu, Jacob Donnelly, $2. He says, Ibu, can I get a Joya?
Did you guys see this video?
Yeah, I saw. It's fucking pathetic.
Well, I didn't see all of it. I saw like 3 seconds of it as I was scrolling through the timeline, and I was like, okay, that's enough of this.
Yeah. One of those videos where you click it and you're like, you just close it.
I don't need to see this.
Yeah, Yuya Uemura is in this dance duo with Joe Hendry, where they sing their entrance theme and do a dance and clap
like it's Stardom or something,
and wiggle their booties. Yeah, and it's like Joya. Yeah, I got a lot of tags on that one. Really depressing. Yuya's also not hitting the gym these days. It made me so sad. Yeah.
That sounds kind of beast.
I mean, if you're Joe Henry, you're investing in the future. You know, those future New Japan tours.
What is it about Impact that like 3 months in, you're like, I don't want to work out anymore?
I don't know. It fucking rules though.
Anyway, Darren Walker, £5, appreciate you. Had a nice weekend enjoying All In. Before the show, met SRS and Denise Salcedo. It's very nice. On the Saturday, got to talk to RJ City, Lex in there, and Will Washington. I'm glad you had a good time.
The
Big three, absolutely.
They're all very cool. God bless.
Yeah, man. All good people. But yeah, I'm glad he had a good time because he was leaving us plenty of live chats last week telling us how the fan fest had nothing announced yet, etc., etc. So I'm just glad he had a good weekend, trust the process, absolutely. Zaid Nadi 199, appreciate it. Asked him, Reeves, am I right, Ibu?
I refuse to. It's not real. This is just.
Just put on Team USA.
There's been an international basketball happening right now, Monty, and so that's what people are talking about. And look, Austin Reeves is an industry plant. It is what it is. Social. Look, I get it. It bangs on Twitter, but yeah.
Trust the process, as Joe just said. 34. $10. Mister, the reason I milk the same markets dry is to reward loyalty. Is rewarding Chicago with Dynamite TV special card. We're shaping to be a suspect card, lacking ambition, even with Punk. Without him, God bless.
Have you seen the All Out card, Mons?
Oh, I'm not putting any stock into that All Out card until after Wednesday, to be honest. So
That's
it's
fair.
like I feel like it would be. I feel like we all know AEW at this point, and it's like. We knew the week that they've just had, and it's kind of like, okay, they're probably just going to throw something together on the Dynamite between. There's a couple matches already set.
Very good chance Tony on Wednesday walks the TV and he's like, all right, fuck it. Let's does the Paul Heyman thing where he looks on the locker and goes, you and you. And then he's just like, put that on the card.
I'll be there, so I hope so.
Showtime Spurs $2. He says, real glass equals real graps. Austin Kinkle, $2. Chicago Phil versus Taurus in a few months. Going to be fire. It's very spiteful.
That'd be funny if Phil actually needed money and would do that, but he would never do that.
Darren Walker, £5. Appreciate you again. Ibu, hope your back gets better. We need you at All In next year. Monty or Joe will put you up. Anna tweeted she wants to come All In next year too. I'm sure everyone wants to call in, but
the WrestlePurists guest house when he's going to rent out for the week.
I'd do it for a WrestlePurists meetup, but besides that, actually, this is going to sound so grumpy. I hate stadium shows, bro. I've been to a couple.
I get it. I do get it. Yeah.
You just walk out of there like, fuck.
And that was my first one, and I had a good time.
Oh no, they're great, but
I also kind of was looking around, kind of like, I'm so happy I'm not sitting there.
When you sit there, and there, you just walk out. You start walking like Mick Foley,
Yeah, because stadiums are just like, you're not actually supposed to run wrestling shows in stadiums. It's just an incredible thing to do. It's just a really cool thing. Like there's like 2,000 like actual good seats in that place because it's a fucking wrestling ring, Like
then on top of that, they put that big shield on top of it, so you can't even look down on
screens, though, brother. Like,
I was going to say,
them screens.
Everyone else is just kind of sweating on top of each other while you're trying not to step too far to the left because you're going to knock over someone's like drink or their French fries, and you're just looking at a screen.
Absolutely.
This is just making me appreciate the seats that I managed to get myself. So Happy days for me, I
did
guess.
good, man.
I'm not expecting to get it again next year or any other stadium event, so
Maybe, you know.
I'm gonna soak it in.
Oh.
But yeah, man. Zayd 94.99, appreciate you. The only way this drama ends is a mandatory meeting between Punk and the Elite. Splitting the roster and ignoring each other isn't working. TK, be a boss, mate.
Yeah, man, I'll just tell him fight. I'll put him in a room and say, "Fight it out, man. Fight it out."
There are parties that would not want to do that, and
Scrap it out. You know,
Man, quit being pussies, bro. I mean,
this mandatory meeting just isn't gonna.
Come on.
imagine Manny's promotion, man.
Yeah, he's just like, well, to be fair, Monty, Monty, you know Bill Watts, like,
Who was did a lot of things, bro.
yeah, he used to make you like, if you lost a fight in real life, you got like fired from his promotion.
Anytime someone starts a sentence with "Did you know Bill Watts?" it's it always.
Listen, if there's heat, you fight it out. If you lose a fight in real life to a real life person, you're out of his company. And he carried a gun.
Absolutely. Arm Dragon, $2. Appreciate you. Thank you, Taurus. I mean, I don't think I shared that sentiment myself, but you know.
Did you see the video?
What?
Why did Parker have to tweet, bro? He
was
became
incredible.
an animal with the engagement.
I respect it, man. It's part of the business. Man.
He's been replying to all the news updates you were tweeting with just like, AEW is crazy. That's funny. Tyrus, you were a terrible fucking wrestler. You're an awful human being, and I don't wish you on retirement. And no one will ever remember any match you ever had.
And there you have it. Okay, I'm gonna put keep the super chats coming. We'll get to them shortly. All right. So the first thing I actually want to get into was, if we already touched on it, I just want to talk briefly about the SmackDown show from Friday. You know, of course, it was their tribute show to Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, who of course tragically passed away last week. Very tough week for most of last week, to be honest. You know, obviously with the SmackDown show, when they found out the tragic news of Bray's passing, a lot of the stuff was scrapped. And they did the best they could to put together like a nice tribute show. There was some nice video packages. There was some nice speeches from a couple of the wrestlers. And there was, of course, the 10-bell salute. And, you know, it was nice to see some of the people that flown in. You know, I guess from our understanding there was basically an open invite to the roster. You know, and if you wasn't originally booked, you know, if you wanted to come in and, you know, be a part of the tribute show, then you was more than welcome to, and they'll be able to sort it out for you. So that was obviously a very nice gesture. And I guess a result of some of that was we got to see Eric, we got to see Braun Strowman, we got to see a few more, of course, very familiar faces that are associated
Cody
with Bray Wyatt. Yeah, of course, Cody Rhodes. He did a very nice speech on Terry Funk as well. Very well spoken, of course, because, you know, Cody's always great in those situations. I don't know if anyone, you can probably, well, of course you can still find the tweet. I'm sure it's still out there. But remember, after Dusty passed, and he tweeted his eulogy. And it's like a transcript of the whole eulogy. It's like really beautifully put. So it didn't surprise me that Cody had some very, very nice words for Terry Funk after his passing. But very nice show, wasn't it, Joe? Very, very nice show. It
was, mate. And, you know, the way they do those shows now, and I mean this with love, but like they're slightly easier to watch because their approach now seems to be they film the like the video messages. Mm-hmm. They use them for online. So like if you want to see them, they're there. But, you know, like the show is kind of more it's more triumphant, I guess would be the best way. It's more of a celebration, which is the best thing you can do, right? Because I know some of the guys posted theirs and they were tough watches because they always are.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it was very touching, and I thought they did an admirable job of doing a tribute show for two guys. Is really, I mean, an impossible task, especially two guys with completely different stories and unfortunately completely different ends to their life. You know, I mean, they're completely different situations. So I thought they did an admirable job of kind of trying to balance that out, and it was a nice watch. I thought the highlight, which was weird to say about a tribute show, but LA Knight's promo was like quite astonishing, really, what he did there, because he kept kayfabe with his feud with Bray, while making a clear tribute to Bray, built his feud with The Miz, and then signed off with a final tribute to Bray. Like, that was actually really remarkable what he did in that segment.
You're a pro, brother.
That felt like a moment, I thought, for LA Knight, you know? Like, in terms of solidifying where he's at on that card right now, was very special. So it was a very nice show, and wrestling fans are we've gotten used to, like, using those shows to heal weirdly after tragedy, and this was no different. So I hope it helped everyone else. So it certainly did me.
I didn't get to finish the show. I got right up to the tag match, the tornado tag.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of internal feedback. So on some details, they were in the morning of Friday, Monty. It was basically show scrapped. We're just open invite, and then we're gonna basically count the heads of who's here at like around 2:00. And once we know who's here, we'll fully know for sure. Cody on his way over was basically told, like, they're kind of communicating to him while he was on basically in the air or whatever, like be mentally ready to cut a promo of some kind, right? And then like the initial word was like maybe he's gonna open the show with something, and then he gets to TV, and like around like 2:30, they're like, actually, you know, do you want to talk on Terry Funk? And his promo wasn't scripted. Like the way what he was just flowing out there apparently, which is I think impressive because Cody talks in a very like I wrote this down type of way, you know.
Yeah, well, he's been known, and he said many times that, you know, he workshops and he puts together his promos beforehand, and etc. etc. So, that doesn't mean he can't do it the other way, though. You know,
Yeah.
Clearly displayed on Friday.
That man, there's a cut a promo on Terry Funk, and he's like easy, and so he did that. Some of the other things I heard about was just people were like really impressed and happy with LA Knight overall. I didn't see anything he did on the show, unfortunately. But they apparently, like, the feedback just internally was just like they were overjoyed with how he was, and they just like it was a sentimental vibe, so like that plays a part of it too. But they were just kind of like really they hold him in a much higher, even a higher regard now than they did before when he was just like a guy who was really over. Like they see him now as like a guy, like a talent who's pretty special. So that was one of those things. I thought the tributes were handled very classily. Like they did. I thought it would be impossible to do a tribute show of two people, you know. But like they put both of them on the screen. You know, they acknowledged both of them. They played the video for Bray. There was a lot of little things here and there in between, and then they let Cody fittingly be the one to talk about Terry. So yeah, from what I saw, it was just a very, very classy wrestling show, and I'm glad that both of these guys were honored, and that comes first and foremost, I think, over you know, just the mundane week to week creative leading to payback. You know, so I'm glad actually that they scrapped the show and they were able to do this.
Yeah, man, it was a very, very nice and appreciated effort by WWE to put on that sort of show on Friday. You know, because like you said, the task that they were dealt with was definitely a mountain of one. Manny, I'm not sure if you managed to get to see the show as you was running around, so you know.
No,
but,
I didn't see anything.
But yeah, man, it was definitely a very nice, touching tribute show. It's definitely worth seeking out if those of you who haven't seen it. But I'm sure a lot of people, especially including the 81,035 in Wembley Stadium, saw AEW All In that took place yesterday. Yeah, man, 81,000 paid attendance, according to Tony Khan himself, in fucking Wembley Stadium, Joe. You know, they pulled it off, you know, and it was a really good show, you know, and we're gonna get right into it.
Absolutely. It was just one thing I would say is, and you can speak to this one, is we know how many people were going to be there, but seeing that crowd assemble Wembley Stadium was an experience, bro. Like, for real. For any wrestling show, it'd be crazy. But for a non-WWE show, that was like startling experience. It was like, whoa, this is really happening. And you could tell very quickly that it was 81,000 fans of AEW too. Everyone had their shirt on, whoever their favorite was. You know, it was a very, very special experience. Sure.
What do you say was the majority of the shirts?
The most I saw, yeah, in terms of individual talent, I would say Punk, or honestly the Acclaimed shirts. And obviously you noticed them all, right, with the pink pops, but the amount of Acclaimed shirts I saw in the scissor gimmicks, it's so over, man. Incredible.
I'd say MJF.
MJF, yeah, and they had a lot of scarves, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
like a
yes.
lot, and there was quite a lot of the Better Than You Bye shirts as well.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Um,
I don't know if you thought this, but I was actually like encouraged by how many families were there. Like, and that kind of tells you, I think, that a lot of people do watch on ITV. You were on the floor though, bro.
Yeah.
You were among the
I think there was
sickos.
like one kid in the whole section.
No, see, I had in front of me there was one family that did pop me. It was the young girl and boy with their parents, and the girl had the full Max like merch and the scarf, and the boy had the Derby paint. And I was like, that's real graps. That's the way this business should be, you know. I noticed it a lot in my section. But yeah.
The kid that was sat in front of me was he was with his mum and his dad, I believe, and they went all out, brother. You know, he had the full MJF get up. He had 2 changes of shirts. He had a CM Punk flag. he had it all, brother. You know,
it's awesome.
It's always cool to see families and definitely like queuing up and stuff. It was you know, kind of more than it was my first AEW show, of course, the first one in the UK. So it's like it's hard to compare it to previous ones or anything like that. But yeah, man, it wasn't exactly a WWE house show, which is basically just pure families, you know. But it was definitely an encouraging, you know, an encouraging demo out there, I guess. But yeah, man, 81K. So there was did the Jeff Jarrett Grado stuff get broadcasted, or was that just for us, Joe? Like,
no, we saw that.
I didn't know that happened until later.
What about Hobbs and Miro? Did you guys get that or not?
Yes, we did.
You did? Wow. Miro got received like he was like Hulk Hogan in 1987. It was very funny. The dude behind me was like, it's Rusev. I was like, you're not wrong. That's him.
That reminds me when I was at Collision and someone was like, Rusev much guy. I'm like, bro, you good? You all right? You okay, man?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, there's a few. The Jeff Jarrett Grado thing was fucking Jeff Jarrett is something else. He's coming out there, and it's just he's calling everyone slags and wankers. Like he's
just cooking, bro. He's just being Jeff Jarrett. That was the perfect way to warm the people up. Like it was perfect.
Yeah, and of course the big man Paul White comes out with Anthony Ogogo, and he also brings Grado with him.
The bigger man.
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't get Madonna, you know, but you know, people still popped huge for him, and they came and kicked the shit out of Jeff Jarrett and Co. and Satnam and all them. So it's fun. This was fun, Manny. Did you manage to catch it?
No, I didn't know this or the Miro contract signing didn't happen until like after the show, and I saw clips of it.
Okay.
Because I heard the show started at 12 for my time, but then people said no, it started at 11. So I waited till 12, and that's when the MJF and thing started.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there's 2 start times, from my understanding.
Yeah, it's all over the place, you know. It's busy night, big night for Graps, Joe. But yeah, man, Ibu, Jeff Jarrett, Grado, good way to open a show, really.
Was it?
Yeah, man.
It rolled live, I must say. Yeah. Especially because as much as they didn't have Madonna, so it was Paul's theme, which is funny in itself, and then Grado's graphic just flashed. And obviously, as I was saying to you earlier on, I couldn't see the stage, so I just saw the graphic flash, and the place came up for Grado's.
That's amazing. I would say that the first hour of this 2-hour pre-show should have been for the house only. You know. Because what we got was talking heads and Big Show like talking about Billy Gunn like he was Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I skipped through a lot of that when I was doing my rewatch.
Joe, it was surreal. So Paul White's sitting there, right, and he's just like, you know, look, I know the House of Black is tough, but Billy Gunn, you guys don't know badass Billy Gunn. Like this guy, man, like this badass Billy Gunn, and he's talking about him in like real sports term. He's a right hand, like he's tough. You can't knock him down. He has a strong chin.
Did they win or not, Ibu? You know, I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah,
he nailed it.
Like the House of Black need to worry about badass Billy Gunn, and he just kept reiterating the same point for like 5 minutes.
Clearly didn't worry enough, Ibu. This sounds like really good analysis to me. You know,
during the WrestlePurists Twitch stream, I said, why is Why is Big Show over here freaking acting like he's on ESPN or trying to get an ESPN job? He's over here to breaking it down like real sports.
Bro, he was like sweating, like y'all don't know about this guy Billy Gunn, man. Like fuck. The mirror angle was fine. That was probably them just fitting something in so that they could do probably something a little bit different on TV this week. You know, you might as well maximize the extra hours and just fit in an angle or two if you want to do that.
You could put more wrestlers to wrestle. But,
yeah, I'll tell you what. You know, I wonder what the philosophy was to not do that much wrestling on the pre-show, because there was a lot of like dead time watching it, because like there's a lot of just talking heads going like, oh yeah, man, and you know, the Bullet Club Gold is pretty tough too, and yeah, and you know, like Tony Storm, look, she might have a problem with Sarray, but maybe she might not. But what do you think's gonna happen there? I don't know, Paul White. What do you think? The Outcaster, a lot of that stuff. But yeah, look, you know, Jeff Jarrett's a pro, you know, so like he knows how to get heat. You know, he knows how to get the people
He
warmed up.
fucking rules,
man.
Yeah. How my Phil got to see him, you know.
Right.
Comes out. And obviously when I was where I was sitting, if you could see the videos from the WrestlePurists account, I was like right by where they walk out for the entrance. So it's like you see him come out and he's like, yeah, with the guitar. So you can, what a beast. And
real quick on
when he was cooking on the mic, man.
we have an incredible house today. You guys are all tapped in to watch the Worldwide Guys talk about All In, so we really appreciate that. 260 live viewers. If you could like the video, please do so. It pays our bills and it helps me feed my child. So please just like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and you know, you can feel free to send super chats or hang out
at the bottom.
Absolutely.
There you go. Like, subscribe, super chat. We appreciate everyone tuning in, as this is a huge episode covering quite a lot of different things. Well, huge happenings this weekend, you know. Of course, we're on All In already. 0 hour. Let's get to the next part. Let's do MJF and Adam Cole challenging for the ROH Tag Team Championships against Aussie Open. And they got the job done. We got to see the kangaroo kick, you know. This was a good time. Didn't overstay its welcome or anything. You know, it was a pre-show match after all. The crowd was very, very happy to see this so early on in the night. You know, they got to pop huge, obviously, for MJF and Adam Cole at the very top end of the show. So this was a pretty good time, John.
It was a nice kind of crowd pleaser, right? Like, obviously, there's a very different version of this match that we may or may not ever see, but it was not the night to have that match when they were working the main event at Wembley Stadium in 4 hours. Like, there's just there was no reason to do any more than this, and it is what it is. I liked it. I do think it worked. So they kept drilling in the idea of get to your seats by 5 for us, 5 noon for everyone watching at home in the States, but that worked, right? Like, people made a point of like, I'm going to be there at 5. I want to see the MJF.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
And they saved the Bay pop, right? They did the Aussie Open jump started, so they saved it for later, which got an even bigger reaction later. So very effective, nice way to start the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Ibu, you enjoyed this one?
Yeah, this was a very minimalist, basic WWF house show style tag match, and the one that I thought they probably should have worked, because it's like I'm a worry wart, as they say, because you know they booked this match and I'm like, what if someone gets injured? What if someone they got to wrestle later? So, but you know, Max is a smart guy, and they had a match that basically just kind of continued and reiterated some of the story beats, furthered his thing that he has going on with Adam Cole. Ultimately, Aussie Open are just kind of the vehicles and plot devices to be used to continue Adam Cole and MJF's storyline. And, you know, so be it. They won the tag titles. And, yeah, just a crowd-pleasing, simple, house show style, throwback style tag match. And the fans ate it up. And you got to continue the intrigue of what's going to happen with Cole and MJF for the main event. So, no complaints at all here. And like Joe said, they did a good job of. If it wasn't for this, Joe, I would have just continued to sleep. Like this was like 12 o'clock for me, you know. So like, right. I'm like, I could skip. I skip pre-shows in wrestling now. You know, I don't watch pre-shows. And when they put this on, I was like, fuck, I have to watch this, because it's not even just because it's a good match. It's a match that I need to see because it'll be important from story perspective. And so it's like You had to see it. It's canon for later tonight, and so it was like, ah, shit. And so yeah, they nailed that aspect of it. Well done.
Yeah, man. Monè, you enjoy this one? Anything to add?
It was fun. I wasn't like I was telling you guys earlier. I wasn't a fan of Ozzy Open getting sacrificed to them, but they're the more overacting. So Max must be sacrificed to get over. So I actually got scared earlier in the match. 'Cause I thought Adam Cole got hurt because I forgot one of them did a dive or whatever, and I saw Adam Cole go to like a knee. Then I think it was Samson or one of them to go check on him. I said, "Oh fuck, here we go, it's over." And then he got back in there and he wrestled. So
That would have been tragic.
So yeah, good match.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. And then of course our match that then set off a bomb backstage. It seemed Hook versus Jack Perry for the FTW Championship, and Hook comes out, gets a good pop, man. Gets a nice reaction from the Wembley Stadium crowd. They're happy to see him. I was happy to see him as well. It was time for him to get his baby belt back. Jack Perry makes his entrance to his new theme. Still taking some time for me to adjust to it. He comes out in the limo, gets on top of the limo, raises the belt, and they start fighting in the aisle, and they have a pretty good one, man. They have a pretty good one. Of course, the notable thing that happened in this match, as I guess overshadowed the actual match itself, was the spot where they're fighting by the limo, they're throwing each other into like the doors of the limo, and they're taking bumps on the limo and all kinds of stuff like that. And at one point, Jack Perry walks over to the windshield, knocks on it, and he says something along the lines of, "See, real glass, cry me a river." And this is, of course, in reference to reports I believe it was like a week or two ago, that Jack Perry at a collision taping wanted to do a spot with real glass, like an angle or something like that, or maybe something in a match, I'm not sure. And apparently people in AEW were trying to talk him out of it, etc., etc. And then CM Punk decided to get himself involved, and it almost became like a physical altercation or something like that. They exchanged words, and it was this whole thing, So Jack Perry was referencing that moment and those reports, of course, going into a little business for himself, and when he when he went backstage, all hell broke loose. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But first things first, let's just try and talk about the match itself, because I thought it was pretty good, man. Manny, I'm gonna start with you. What did you think of the actual match itself?
That was pretty fun. I was kind of blown away by Jack Perry's way to to copy RVD, because I thought he did a pretty good job of that, and it was a fun match. Glad Hook won, the right man won, and if Punk didn't beat him up, Taz was gonna beat him up anyway. So that's what I take on that.
Yeah, a lot of people were kind of surprised by Hook getting the win. Joe, did it take you by surprise at all?
It didn't really, because I just assumed they wouldn't want to beat him again. Hook, that is, It's definitely it does feel a bit abrupt, because it feels like this belt could have been St. Jack used to really find himself as a heel, which actually what he was doing steadily. So now you kind of wonder, like, where do you go next? It was especially because he lost, like, emphatically, decisively, right? Like, Hook just beat him. He's tapped out. So, but I like the match. I thought they had a nice match. Obviously, they were somewhat limited by the fact they were just, the bridge from the main pre-show attraction to the main card. But I thought they made the most of it. And as you said, Hook got one hell of a reaction. And Jack is getting there as a heel. The presentation is still like 4 different ideas all, bundled together. But as a talent, he's getting it, I think. So I like the match.
Yeah, in the ring and performance-wise in the ring, and when during his matches and working to the crowd and kind of, doing his heelish act, I guess it's it's a lot more easy on the eye than the actual character and gimmick stuff, I
agree.
But yeah, Ibu, what did you think?
I'm not seeing it. You guys are saying that you think his thing is coming along, but I just see a guy, like, for me personally, like, genuinely, I was talking to a friend about this. He feels like he's acting, like he just feels like he's playing heel, and a lot of
I mean,
young
he
wrestlers.
is, you know.
Yeah. A lot of young wrestlers are, but you know what I mean, though, right? Like, so
No, I
No.
do what you mean. Yeah, I get it. I get my completely. I'm just being a dick. Carry on.
yeah,
They're actors, hey man, come on.
but he's not. To me, a lot of young wrestlers sometimes when they do this, they turn and they just kind of like they just do what they feel like a heel is supposed to do. Because I've watched people do these things, and like you'd think on paper, like that's literally what it is, right? But it's a feel thing, and to me, I think he's just thoroughly unconvincing in this role right now, and that's because I don't. I'm very pro Jack evolving where he like what he's doing, because Jungle Boy just kind of reached its natural conclusion in my personal opinion. And so I'm in support of him like trying to find himself. I just don't think he has arrived at where he needs to be yet, if that makes any sense. I think this act still needs a lot of tweaking. I don't think he's found the perfect approach he needs to be at as a worker, because he hasn't matched what he was able to do as a babyface, and there's a way to do that as a heel. He just needs to get there. He hasn't gotten there in that standpoint, and then just as an act, I just don't think it's there. I'm watching him just kind of act like a
As an actor, I personally think it's like really bad.
That's what I'm saying. I just
I get it.
I think he needs to fade.
I'm watching him here, just kind of. I'm watching him here. Basically, it's like long. He's basically just being white Dominic for Hook, and that's fine. And like, there's nothing wrong with this match at all. There's nothing wrong with this match at all. It's a pretty solid pre-show plunder match. And there were some cool things that the Rolling Thunder on the the car right before the big shot on TV was very impressive. Actually, the margin for error is super slim on that spot, and then pulling it off was really cool. Hook 1 was to be expected. And we'll see what happens with both guys. I think Hook should actually make himself a home on Collision. You guys definitely, I doubt you guys caught it on Collision, but Hook looked really good in the 8-man tag. It was the most expansive he's been. He had a lot of extended time, and he looked good. So I'd like to see him make that show home and kind of move on and kind of expand. And as for Jack, we'll see where the wind takes him here with this new act.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I didn't get the white Dom comparison till right now, man. I mean, they're right on, man. Just they both have famous dads. That's where it
goes. Real connections,
Man, he's a good point, Ebro. Like, when you really think about it, it's so accurate. Their dads.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that was the 0 hour pre-show. And before we get into the main card, I want to fly through some super chats real quick. Keep them coming. We appreciate them as always. Bob the Builder, $2 Canadian. My granddad had Hogan. My dad had Austin. I had Tyrus. Sorry to hear that, brother. Trust the process, $34, $10. TK, the type of guy who listens to a new song and plays it on repeat 100 times a day, eventually ruining it. Wish he did all in free at Jag Stadium, but he wants to run Wembley to the ground like Grand Slam. Interesting take. I guess time will tell. Definitely very ambitious with them announcing All In 2024. So
I'll tell you what, though, man. Tony said he's running All Out after All In.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing.
And I'm like, why? And his reasoning was, I'm a big fan of tradition, and I'm like,
the bank holiday weekend thing here is like a really big factor, I think. So and obviously the All Out thing is, I guess Tony just sticking to his traditions. It's is it Thanksgiving weekend or whatever it is, I don't know, because I don't know the American holidays, but
Memorial Day weekend, I believe. Thanksgiving is in November.
Okay, so that'll be Full Gear, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But Tony sticking to his traditions and All In free in a US stadium. Definitely, it still would have been super ambitious, but I think would have been cool.
The only person
I don't think the Jag Stadium could do it though. But sorry, man.
The only person that'd be at Jack Stadium is Marcus, bro. And ain't nobody want to go to Jacksonville. I'm sorry, bro. For a big pay-per-view like that.
Showtime Spurs $5. Daniel Garcia not being at All In and thus missing the Notting Hill Carnival is a huge missed opportunity for AEW to go viral. Oh, that would have been some scenes. I'm sad I didn't get to see Garcia yesterday. You
bummed
know,
out, yeah.
yeah, I would have loved to have. Would have popped for DG, man. But yeah, we didn't get him, unfortunately. Seth Rich Rogan, $5, appreciate it. Listen, JB was just trying to get jump the rail heat. Jungle Jack's gonna send that apology tweet out soon, brother. I will see.
I don't foresee that one.
Soko Vice, $4.99. Appreciate you very much. And he follows this up again. He or she, I'm not sure. $9.99. Appreciate you. CM Punk getting into an altercation right before opening AEW's biggest event and then going out and delivering a classic, truly one of the last dying breed. Yeah, man. We love that match. You know, we're going to get into that straight after the super chats. Pylon's $2. How many times do you guys hear Machine Head?
I don't think it was that much.
Yeah, well, no, not bad.
Sometimes when you guys are getting like videos, we would just have nothing. And sometimes they would play the videos in full, and other times they would like the FTR Young Bucks one played like 8 times, just kept breaking up. Do you remember that money? It was weird. It was very strange.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny about that? When they first played it, I was like, this was a WWF pay-per-view theme. And I'm like scrambling trying to remember what this is. And I was like, no, WWE had a fake Machine Head for like an insurrection or some shit like that. Some like fodder added to their event. It might have been insurrection. And it was like a fake Machine Head, and then Tony just bought the real thing and played it. So
what is that? What is Machine Head? What is that? Don't know what that.
The video, the music that would play over the intro and shit, and all like the graphics and that for all in yesterday.
I guess it did play a lot. I mean, it's a very long show.
Yeah. Darren Walker, £10. Appreciate you again. I watched replay on Fight TV, and JR is hilarious. When the Elite came out, he said we need more CM Punks and some other Joes going crazy over the legal man in 6-man tag. He had a hell of a time. That 6-man, he was.
Jim had enough. Jim's commentary of that match was what happened to the game I love. That was what Jim was. That was what he was portraying.
Bro, this line that's on screen, like, Kota Ibushi's doing his stuff, and obviously the golden star, the golden trigger, or whatever, you know, all the stuff that they were doing with Ibushi. And JR's just like, why is everything golden? You know, he had enough at that point. You know,
he said, "Fuck the Lord, man. Let's get back to Joe and Punk."
I think that was one match too long for him. I don't know. You know?
Monty Trevor Dame had a Jim Ross crankiness thread, and he was just kind of keeping updates on like what level he was at, and then that's when he just goes, "Jim Ross is now mad that everything's called golden." He cried.
He was definitely on one as he started to get a little more grumpy, you know. Cheesy Chester, $5, appreciate you. Perry puffing his chest out, chirping at Punk just to get chokeslammed backstage is fantastic. Choke Jack like that ludicrous video. Hey, man.
That ludicrous video.
Brainbuster, $4.99, appreciate you. Got here a bit late, so apologies. No worries, brother. If this has already been talked about, what do you think? Main event's All Out, and do you think MJF defends the title?
Fucking Moxley and Orange, probably.
I think Punk will be on the show order. Personally.
Yeah, that feels like it would be a recipe for disaster. Him not.
You can't do. Sorry, bro. You can't. What happens to Ricky as well? Like it's
Well, you know.
I think it's gonna be Ricky and Punk in a strap match, which is not even that isn't exactly. It's not exactly blockbuster.
Dynamic.
You got to have Punk in Chicago. I'd be very shocked, even with the circumstances, if Punk isn't on that show. Even if it's like you're doing that show and then you're suspended after, you know. But I don't think it will get to that point either. You know, I know it was indicated by Brian Alvarez, but we'll get into like all the backstage stuff a bit later on. But super chats, all in review. We'll get into the backstage altercation. We'll talk about Mercedes. We'll try and do that over the next just under 1 hour. J Blood $4.99. Appreciate you. We should be talking about Hook becoming the 2-time FTW champion, but instead Jack Perry's selfish behaviour overshadows the show. Sad. I mean, we do give him his props, you know. We give him his props. We've done our best, you know. By the builder, $2. Appreciate you. Manny wants Punk in WWE. Was there empty seats, lol? I'd definitely describe the people who were trying to like trial and point out the the empty seats in the arena with very specific photos where I like to think that I've built up enough good faith with our audience that watch these shows that I have no reason to lie or shill or put over a company if they're not selling tickets. I think I've buried both companies for doing the opposite of that over our time here at WrestlePurists. But I have to say, the people who were doing that stuff, kind of like trying to make out like there was loads of empty seats, was probably in bad faith. Because the stadium was like, it was full. So imagine like this, the way I'm facing is the ramp, yeah, towards the ring. It's all full, all the way up to the top. Then like over here at the very top, in like the absolute top of the building, there was like a few gaps, but like just in that part of the building. So like any other like pictures that you saw would have been like, if there was like empty seats and stuff, would have been obviously like early in the show or when people were moving around, etc., because that place definitely had at least, like I'd say there was at least like 84,000 people in there. I know 81,000 got announced paid. Then of course Tony did say at the media scrum that in the building, including staff and everyone else and all the comps and stuff, it was probably around 90,000. And then that doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility as someone who was actually there and saw the very limited amount of empty seats. All the empty seats definitely didn't look like very good appetizing seats anyway, to be honest. So.
The other problem is that people see the empty seats and then they Google what the attendance for Wembley is, but don't put together the fact that Wembley's a football stadium. So when people say it's a 90,000 seat stadium, that's not including all the seats on the floor where Monè was sitting for the wrestling show. So like 85,000, say it was, in the building. Yeah, there are going to be some empty seats. There are 85,000 filled seats. If that was what people were trying to dunk on today, like, listen, I'm a fucking loser. I wrote match reviews for most of my day. Still, levels. Come on, we got to have something better to do. That's insane, bro. Good Lord, I didn't even know what was going on today. Jesus wept.
Punk in WWE sounds awesome, Punk and John Cena versus Roman and Sikoa.
But yeah, it's like in like the like to the side, like by where they set up like the camera tent and stuff for the photographer's job. Yeah. It's like that side of that side up there of the arena, like at the very, very, very top.
There was some empty seats.
There was some like empty seats, but other than that, all the way around, all the floor was absolutely full seats. So, credit to them, I guess. Bodybuilder again, $2. How much for Ibu to sing Barbie song? Ibu, name your price, brother.
If you send me $50 right now, I'll sing your Barbie song.
Bodybuilder $2. Feel like JR only cares about Punk programs.
Yes, true.
I mean, that's not the
very
worst
apparent.
assumption.
Yeah,
that's not the worst
very
assumption.
Obvious.
He's just like me.
Yeah, man. Right, then. Let's get to it then, man. That's enough for the super chats for now. Of course, keep them coming. We'll get to them shortly. But main show opens up with CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the Real World Championship. I absolutely love this match, man. It gave me everything that I could have possibly hoped for from these guys at this point in their career. Samoa Joe was having the absolute time of his life, and to be honest, even with the events that apparently unfolded just before CM Punk walked through the curtain, he seemed to be having a really great time. And I think these two just absolutely love wrestling each other. And they absolutely went out there and they did the dance in front of 80,000 plus people. Punk got colour. They were doing almost tribute, but they definitely were doing tribute spots. Like there was some Cena, there was some Terry Funk, there was some Hogan. The Hogan shit was incredible.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, man, Manny, I know you love this one. Talk to the people.
Bro, this match was awesome. It really felt like this felt like the real title match of the show. Like this felt like a real title match, and even looking back, there was like a special kind of feeling to this match. Even during when I was watching, I said, man, it was giving me strange vibes. It's like, is this gonna be Punk's last match and all that? Because it just felt weird and felt different. And then when you see the tweets coming in and all that, what happened? I said, oh fuck, this might actually be his last match and all that. And then Samoa Joe throwing him into the what's that, the announce table, and he comes out all covered in blood, and and Samoa Joe starts boxing him like he's like Muhammad Ali or something, and and then Punk's just all doing stagger cells and all that. Man, this to me, this was probably, if not the best match, the second best match of the show, and this is gonna be an instant this is like a rewatch for me all the time, and in my match of the year list.
Certified Hooper classic, I think it's fair to say. You talk about Joe out there moving like Muhammad Ali. It is really special, isn't it, Hall? But when you have someone who can like throw good punches like Joe, and also someone who can do the cells of rocking the head back as well as Punk does, but this was a really good time, wasn't it?
It was, mate. It was my favourite match on the show, and I often try and be objective and level-headed about these things, but I'm not doing that. I was at Wembley. It's my favourite match on the show. This was loud on TV. Money will be able to attest. In the building, this was unfathomable, brother. This was it was honestly felt like I was at like a heavyweight title fight with, Fury or Joshua in it. It was rocking, and the atmosphere, the electricity, the excitement, and they had so much fun playing around with that energy and embracing it. And, there was something weirdly poignant and moving about the whole thing. It was kind of touching watching these two old fellas do this match that changed their lives all those years ago in front of 500 people. And here they were in the stadium, and they can't do what they used to do, but they know enough to produce something worthwhile. In a vacuum, it's just a good match, very good match. For those that care about the story of both guys and what they've represented for the industry, it was more significant. That was very, very special. I think, to be critical and put that hat on for a second, I think the finish was abrupt, right? I think they missed an escalation. The finish itself was great and wrong, but the step to the finish, I feel like they needed one more near fall before it, just 100%. That escalation to be more natural. It was a kind of abrupt, but just a wonderful experience, a match I'll genuinely remember forever. And it really felt more specifically, because everyone, punks the story today, as usual, but it really felt like the Samoa Joe show. That was the phrase I used in the match guide. And I stick by that because Wembley loved Joe and he just had fun relishing that, him, bro. Yeah, man. And
he was doing his shit on the outside, but he was... Yeah. He was he was definitely one of the most over people on the show during his actual match. Maybe not the pop when he first came out, although he definitely got a really good reaction. But how over he was during the match, and like you said, the way they played with the reactions of the crowd, this was a special one. Ibu, I have a good feeling that you really enjoyed this one.
I needed it. I said middle of the week that CM Punk Joe in Wembley is just going to be a great match. It's probably going to be one of the best matches on the show. And the amount of pushback I got shocked even me, because I know who these people are, and under the bright lights, CM Punk and Samoa Joe, of course they're going to deliver. It's just this is pro wrestling to me,
Sweet music.
This is pro wrestling. It's just two guys with a flair for the dramatic, with a knack for performance, going out there, letting these people feel how they want to feel about it, going to riding the crowd and then taking them on a little bit of a journey, so to speak, and relishing every second of it. Samoa Joe is being this charismatic, monstrous ass kicker, and CM Punk is just reveling in being like a twat. He's just smiling and grinning at all the little things he's doing to needle at the fans. He's trolling. You could tell, he's just thinking of what's the next little thing I can do that fucking pisses people off. 5 moves of doom. Let me do the Hogan earwag thing. Let me do the leg drop. I love this match. I was just so happy with it. You're just in it when it's happening. Because here's the other thing about it. With these guys, you can assume what they're gonna do at parts of the match, but there's not this routine feeling of, all right, we're at this point, so they're gonna do this. We're at that point, they're gonna do this. So there's a slight bit of unpredictability there, and so I was just so captured by this. I was so happy with it. Loved the blood when it came. And I was so satisfied with this that there was almost a feeling of I could stop the show right now and I'd be fine personally. And
imagine
Donnie, I was I got what I needed. And if if this was both guys' last match, I'd be fucking at peace with it, frankly. So this was probably my favorite match of the show as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, I think we've done the best we can saying we really like this one.
Well,
You know,
I'm saying
Go
that
on,
we need another match of these two because
No, we don't.
hold on. Samoa Joe's Punk is beating Samoa Joe twice, and Samoa Joe is the ROH
man, he
TV
wants the
champion.
record settled.
No,
you
because
know,
he's the ROH TV champion. You just can't keep being the TV champ without getting a title shot. That's all I'm saying. Maybe the main event for All Out.
I think this
Yeah,
was pretty fitting for Finale, to be
Yeah.
honest. But we'll see.
yeah, just end it at 2, 2, and 1. You know, beautiful stuff. But yeah, next up we had the 6-man tag that was widely debated and caused a lot of discourse leading up to this show. Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, Kota Ibushi versus Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita. This was a good little match, man. This was a good little match. It didn't quite hit anywhere near the kind of like the epic levels I would have personally hoped to get from kind of like this all-star stadium show tag match, you know, especially with some of the talent involved in it. But it, you know, everyone, the crowd was, from my perspective anyway, being on the floor, the crowd was so happy to see Kenny Omega, you know, just seeing him out there, even if it was in a 6-man, and that definitely helped create more of an atmosphere throughout the match. What I would say is that they didn't like build and escalate to certain parts of the match. Like there was a point in the match where Kenny gets a hot tag and the crowd don't really move for it until Kenny really gets into the flow and hitting like loads of snapdragons, and then they start popping to it. It's yeah, man. I think they could have, like I said, he didn't really hit like the epic levels that you'd kind of expect from it. So although it was a good match, you know, like it's yeah, man.
That match sucked.
You thought it sucked?
I mean, compared to the rest of the card, I thought there was like maybe the second match that I didn't like. I just thought it was so boring. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was meh. Because at first I was one of these guys who said, who cares? Kenny's wrestling. You know, he's going to be in a 6-man tag. You know, it's still going to be good. And then by the end of the match, I said, man, maybe these guys were right, man. Maybe he should have just been in a singles match and wrestled Takeshita, and Hangman should have wrestled Jay White and or whatever. I just thought everybody was better off in. I mean, I think Kota's cooked, so I mean, it's whatever. I mean,
Kota is he's looking like he's definitely not the same as the Kota Ibushi that we knew in, you know, like even like the start of when the Kota Ibushi first got down with that shoulder injury that then of course led into, you know, his issues with New Japan and him not coming back. And
man, I didn't know,
you know,
I didn't know fucking up your shoulder meant you're like less athletic. I mean, shit, man.
He was out for so long though with his shoulder. It's like you're not working out, you're not
age,
lifting,
man.
and he's like you just said, Joe. Like even though you know, everyone always used to say how he don't age and stuff like that. Like, bro, he's like 40, you know.
Yeah.
It almost felt like all the age hit him while he was hurt, Monty, because like the dude was like 39 in the Tokyo Dome, chiseled out of granite, looking like a fucking just specimen, you know. And then he gets hurt with the shoulder injury, and he comes back, and it's like it all just hit him at once, like, and it's like, oh, you know. So I thought the match was, it was positioned second from the top. And it was worked to be a very good undercard multi-man tag that just happened to have names that are more prestigious, you would think, than guys who would normally be in that spot, if that makes any sense. You know, I thought it was very good. I thought the work was really nice here, and you know, I had no problem with the match work wise. Kind of felt like a Dynamite / Collision main event tag, so to speak. And that probably comes from the fact that one of the teams is a Dynamite team, the other half is a Collision team generally. But yeah, I thought this was really good. That being said, you know, there was a lot of conversation about Kenny Omega and his spot on the card and this and that. And, you know, I was of the belief that, like, kind of like Joe, like, I didn't hate that he was in a 6-man, but that was also because in my mind, like, I know that there's been times where AEW can make trios wrestling feel like main event level wrestling, you know, and we've seen it on pay-per-view. And, even at Forbidden Door, that big match where what was it? It was the Bucks, Hangman, and Eddie Kingston and Ishii or something.
There's plenty of examples, you know.
Right.
Keep it moving.
That match is amazing. So I'm thinking here, like, this match is just going to be amazing, and it'll make up for some of the weirdness to set it up, that kind of thing. And coming out of this, no, this match didn't even like feel big at all. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having a second from the top multi-person tag that's just very well worked. That's not an issue. But you want what Kenny Omega's doing on the show to feel big. And looking at how Jericho did in his spot later on the show, there's no real reason why Kenny shouldn't have a similar spotlight on the show, so to speak, to kind of cook the same way. Because, you know, Kenny Omega is not one of the big prevailing takeaways of Wembley Stadium, and I think this is actually like my one major gripe on the show. I thought the show was excellent, but if I had like one major complaint, it'd be that a lot of the people complaining about Kenny were frankly coming out of the show correct, and he should have been placed better on this show, I think.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. Like, you know, when the show got announced, everyone was, "Oh, who's Kenny going to wrestle in the singles?" You know, and like you said, when the six man doesn't live up to kind of like the, you know, the rare previous levels that Dynamite has set with some of these like all-star, you know, like 6-man tags that they do. It's you know, like I said, it just didn't reach that epic level. One thing I would say is that the finish itself, Kenny getting rolled up by Takeshita, did not get over the way I think it was supposed to. You know, it did not get the heat it was supposed to. It was more just like, oh, okay, you know.
I don't think people know how to take Takeshita as a heel right now because all the heat is on Don, like noticeably so. And people really like Takeshita generally. And initially it worked because it was right after the angle. But like here at Wembley, I don't know if you felt the same way, but it felt like people didn't really know how to react to Takeshita as a heel because they like him as a wrestler and the heat is all on Don, you know? So they got to really lock in on his presentation and kind of sharpen it up, I think. But I agree with most of the. I mean, Kenny should have had a singles match. All the heat for this match was because of Kenny's popularity. He got one of the biggest pops of the night. He's beloved, so he should have had a singles. I agree.
Yeah, man. Stadium Stampede. There's a lot from this one. Of course, it is. It's Stadium Stampede. There's a lot of chaos. You know, we got Sue in the van. She came with cookies. One of my favourite highlights of the entire show was like after Eddie Kingston had been brawling backstage with everyone brawling up in the stands, when he comes back with the chair. And when I was watching it back, the pop didn't come through as loud as it felt when I was in the building, because that was genuinely one of the loudest reactions of the night when Eddie came back out with the chair and just started wailing on everyone just before the finish. Speaking of the finish, Orange Cassidy pinned Claudio Castagnoli, pinned ROH World Champion. Definitely an interesting choice considering where we're going next. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting Orange versus Claudio. And Orange said in the media scrum that, you know, I've pinned Claudio. Now I want to pin Mox. And it's like, well, okay, you know. But yeah, Manny, you got any highlights from the chaos that was Stadium Stampede?
Pentagon is a funny ass wrestler, man. That's all.
He is.
Real.
Very much so. Yes. Oh, Joe, anything you want to add?
This was a hoot. It was something I had to rewatch when I got home because in the building this was quite hard to follow where I was at, for a range of reasons that I'll leave there. And but it was a really good time. Moxley was in his element here. God, Moxley was incredible in this match. It was very much like when he got into Blood and Guts, and he just every time the camera was on Moxley, you felt like something dangerous was about to happen, and it usually did. Not far behind him was Trent, who put in a legitimately like insane performance once again. So I really liked it. One of the best moments of the show I thought was the best friends walking off, Jane playing, looking triumphant, you know, the Wembley stage behind him. What a moment. I loved it.
Ibu, you enjoy Stadium Stampede?
I like Eddie Kingston.
Fair, agreed. Very much so. They have something really special with him, man. And it would be nice to see if they could actually really do something special with him, because that's what I think it would be. It would be something really special, you know, because he's so fucking over. He's so like authentically over. People just love the guy, you know. It's like he could go away or be in shitty feuds for ages, but if you get him in the right thing or in the right moment, the place will come unglued for him because they just love him, you know. So you know, I'd love to see him go a little harder with Eddie, you know. I think you okay, man?
Well, they don't push people
Making noises uncomfortable over there.
Well, they don't push people that are over in this company, so
Manny's been very angry today, So.
Bitter, that's the word, man. He's been bitter
He's
today.
very
Spiteful.
angry.
Venomous, even.
See, they saw AR Fox get over and they said, "Oh no, bro, we're gonna take you out of Wembley." There you go. So.
Well,
Next up, Saraya versus Tony Storm versus Shida versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Title 4-way match. Saraya comes out Queen entrance, Joe.
cool.
Tony Storm coming out to the national anthem.
That was also cool for different reasons.
But yeah, man. I thought, of course, when this match got booked, a lot of people they keep kind of a weird eye on these Britt Baker, Saraya, and Co matches. This could definitely turn a certain way. But I thought it was a nice match in the middle of the show, Joe. And the crowd absolutely come off their feet when Saraya got the pin and won.
Right.
The hometown Brit got the win, and Saraya winning the AEW Women's Championship, especially off someone like Hikaru Shida, is definitely a choice. But it definitely created a moment on the night. But as a booking decision, it's certainly a choice.
Right. I think I don't get it all, considering where the perception of the division was at going in. It feels like you're leaning into everyone's worst fears with that on some level. But in a vacuum, as a one-night piece of business, I thought it was very effective, and I agree with you. I thought the match was good, and I thought they built the match in a way that made people actually more into the idea of Saraya winning in the building, to be clear. I know no one at home gave a damn, but in the building, people went from being like they would like her to win to people were actually really rooting for it. So I thought it was a good match. I think the result is very scary, quite frankly.
Manny, did you manage to catch this one?
Yeah, I actually watched it. It was a fun match, and I thought Saraya looked like a real star out there, and
yeah,
I'm glad she got that. Feels like her winning felt like a end of a movie kind of moment where she did it. She won the biggest stage, and if she retired, that would have been great too. But no, I mean,
it's always nice when legends go out on a high note.
I know. No, yeah. At least she didn't go out like Korean Zombie or something like that. But I wish her the
depending on
best.
how you think of the art that is mixed martial arts. Korean Zombie went out in a beautiful way as well, brother.
But yeah, obviously, I just think this match is just a setup for a match with Mercedes, because isn't that the match Mercedes wanted? So there you go. Mercedes can be the future champ.
We'll see. We will see. Ibu, you got anything you want to add at all?
Yes, a couple interesting creative decisions here in the sense that I'm curious what they're going to do. Like, looks like the Outcasts are done, or the split is underway. Sheeta looked like she was going to be the person to reset the division around, but that talk kind of quieted down when the Mariah May talk ramped up. And also, I know that Saraya versus Mercedes was floated out there internally months ago. So I wonder if they want to work towards doing that. And so I'm curious if this is a thing, like a one-night moment, and then they're going to flip it back, or if they're going to just really ride with Saraya here. It's very curious which direction they go in with that. And yeah.
Wasn't the Mercedes match wasn't that talked around Forbidden Door before she got hurt?
It was floated out for Forbidden Door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. Of course, Mercedes, a lot of eyes on her this weekend. Coffee match, Darby and Sting versus Swerve and Christian Cage. This, another time, I had a good time with this one, The UK fucking loves Sting, bro,
Yes.
The UK very much took to everyone in this match, to be honest. Ibu, good time.
I loved it. Swerve can do like the work rate, cool move stuff, but he can also really perform. And he's a real performer. And I don't know why I kept thinking this, but I'm watching him here, and I just feel like this guy would have made a really good late 2000s Undertaker WrestleMania opponent. Because he would have just done his stuff on Taker. He would have sold the big stuff big, and been able to stooge for him. So I had a lot of fun. The Sting and Darby don't miss. They always are just joyous to watch in these types of wrestling matches, and so Shout out to them. Sting is he's one of the greatest, man. He didn't break the table the first time and said, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna break it. And he broke it the second time.
What a piece.
Yeah, real just real shit, just a joyous celebratory double coffin match. Another W for Sting and Darby.
And as Joe was pointing out in the private chat, we skipped over FTR versus Young Bucks. I feel like
Holy shit.
now that we've missed that somehow, due to my overexcitement in the building, I must not have
You got very excited.
noted it. I got very fired up in the building, very fired up. Because I was trying to note down the matches in the order because I knew I was doing the podcast, so I must have just got that fired up for that match.
Did you get one of those high fives from Dax where it looks like he tries to break guys' arms as he goes past?
No.
I'm
I can't. Listen, I know I was in position to, but I'm not one of them guys to like stick
Did
my
you
hand
see
out,
it though, brother? Like, dude's
gets
getting
fired
high five by
up, bro.
Dax. What the fuck? It's a work, brother. Okay, fine.
Yeah, fuck it, we're here now. I was going to save it to the end of the show, but fuck
Go
it.
on.
We're here, FTR versus Young Bucks for all the marbles, Joe Hall, but AEW Tag Team Championships. Of course, there was a lot of, I guess, issues that came up last week, by the week before now, with Cash Wheeler and his arrest and, charges that he had been accused of, etc., etc. We'll see where it goes in the long run with that one. So a lot of people are kind of assuming, Bucks are probably going to win this. It's a safe bet, while Cash gets all that sorted with him. But FTR got the win in what I thought was an incredible match. Like, the control spots of Young Bucks at the start weren't, particularly amazing, but I thought the second half of this was fucking incredible. I was fired up. And the finish itself, the failed Meltzer driver into the big rig, bro.
That was beautiful, yeah.
Beautiful. I love this. So it really definitely got the big epic match atmosphere towards the end. And yeah, man, people kicking out finishers, big reactions at kickouts and near falls, and just Cash Wheeler going fucking insane, Cash Wheeler.
One day Cash is gonna hit that 450.
One day, man, bro. Nick Jackson as well. I want to shout out him. I just think he's one of the truly great tag wrestlers, man. What a wrestler Nick Jackson is. Cash Wheeler's insane. And Dax and Matt, of course, the faces of the tag teams, you'd say. And they absolutely delivered, I thought. Really good match. Joe, what do you think?
I thought it was very good. And it threatened, it kind of bordered on great at times, especially late. I did like some of the late kickouts very much, but I didn't think I thought it took a while to click. And there was something slightly manufactured or showy about the way they wrestled this match, where it didn't feel urgent enough or desperate enough. It felt more like a showcase and guys doing, just like going back and forth. And look, on the talent of the guys involved, that's still a really good watch, because watching them dudes have a showcase like deal is fun. But it didn't have like a great deal of intensity or desperation or passion to me, which I think is unfortunate considering the way this was framed. Very good pro wrestling match. Did not think it was quite as good as I hoped it would be, unfortunately. But it happens. I mean, I also thought it was placed in a kind of strange part of the show, clearly because we forgot it happened. But I did think it was in a weird spot on the show, genuinely. So very good match. I thought it was going to be better, personally. That's just me.
Yeah, definitely. The atmosphere on the floor for this, like the dueling chants and everything, was like something to be a part of, Right. Especially the way the parts for the kickouts and the closing stretch as well was definitely like something to because there were like real like near falls, the crowd like absolutely bit on properly, for both teams as well, so the back and forth in that sense and the swings of momentum in the end and the actual finish, like the gasp on the finish, was definitely a lot to remember there. Right. Ibu, FCR, Young Bucks, number 3.
I'm pretty close to Joe here. The great FCR matches have a lot of just like competitive spirit to them. They're very passionate. They're very heated. And the Young Buck amazing matches just have this like unique dynamic feel to them, to where like they do their Young Buck stuff, but like like countering other people, like they come up with creative sequences that you just never seen. And this had neither thing. It just kind of felt like a remix of the first match, so to speak, like a bit of an exhibition. They're just kind of doing their stuff, and like Joe said, these guys are so good that like that alone is like borderline great, you know.
Right.
But I thought this was going to be like the best match of the show, to be honest, going into the show. And I walked away from the event not really thinking about it that much. And so I think, if anything, this is the match that fell short of my expectations, but I almost feel like maybe I should rewatch it if I'm missing something. Because I thought it was quite good. But, you know, there was something like almost bordering on hollow for parts of this.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was.
It's hard when a match is promoted as like, this is going to be the greatest tag match. That's really hard too, you know, because you kind of have to wrestle it a certain way. It's a very challenging thing. I don't think that helped them here, to be honest. But
very weird.
It happens.
To be frank with you, I think they should go an hour on a Collision episode one of these weeks.
Yeah, just wrestle, right?
Yeah, just wrestle.
Yeah, man. Back on track. Well, Manny, you got anything you want to add on the FTR books?
That's probably the weakest of the three matches, but I mean, it was still good to be. It was still really. It's weird because this match is better. Would be somebody else tag team match best match, and this was just like their worst one they've had so far. But I don't know. They'll bounce back.
Yeah, man. Jericho versus Ospreay. Will Ospreay, truly one of the greatest English wrestlers to ever do this game. It was great to see him get the chance to wrestle in front of this special crowd on this special night, and of course to wrestle a legend like Chris Jericho. This was definitely billed as one of the big feature matches of this show, and it absolutely lived up to its expectations, didn't it, Ivo?
This was phenomenal. It's just like 5 minutes in, I was like, this fucking rules. Will Ospreay's tremendous, and he's built for the big stage, and you see it here. He just projects really well, and his offense is so like bombastic in the sense that like a stadium deserves his presence, you know. So he absolutely arrived here, and it was great to see him do that. And quite frankly, Chris Jericho had his best in-ring effort in a long time. This was Chris Jericho's best match since Eddie Kingston, and this was. If you thought this was the best match of the show, I wouldn't really argue with you. I thought this was phenomenal.
Yeah, man, definitely a good one. Joe?
Yeah, it's my second favorite match on the show. Not clean, not smooth. There was some misses physically, but that doesn't matter when you capture the right intensity and the right vibe. It's kind of the contrast to what we just talked about for me personally. Stuff I like about wrestling. Like, had a big fight feel. There was some hostility. It was volatile. Jericho brought it in that regard, and that makes up a lot of it, man. This had a real like big fight feel, this match, and I think that does speak to a little bit of like the bubble with Jericho. I really do, because when Jericho came out, it was no one at Wembley seemed to be thinking that was a waste of Will Ospreay. Like, genuinely, like it was, that thing packed a punch live. Yeah. So I really liked it.
Was the first match on the card to feel like a main event in terms of how it felt in the structure too. Feel like we're beginning the main events.
Yeah, and we got the live Fozzy performance as well. I guess an interesting note was Sammy kind of tried to console. Sammy Guevara tried to come on and like, console Jericho after his loss to Ospreay, and Jericho rejected him basically and left Sammy in the ring by himself. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. Manny, you got anything you want to add on Ospreay Jericho?
No, just all Japan Jericho rocks, and Tony Khan trying to do a full court press on Will Ospreay to sign him because that pyro was insane.
Hey,
he felt like a big star, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We had House of Black versus the Acclaimed. The House Rules match for the trios title was a no-holds-barred match, I believe. House of Black in their entrance on a nice tribute to Bray Wyatt, but he came out with the lantern and placed it down. That was very nice to see. And we got new champs, the Acclaimed, and now the trios champions. We got Badass Billy Gunn, and Badass Billy Gunn, he got the job done. That rhymes. But yeah, man, this was a nice time. I don't know if any of you guys have got anything you want to add to this, other than this was a pretty good time, man.
Yeah. Nice match, crowd pleaser, perfect one for before the main event. This worked. I liked it.
It was a fun match.
Much better
Julia's spot was crazy.
Much better than their previous matches.
Also,
Yes.
shout out to Bud Matt for taking a head bump on the Famous. So that's real fucking graps right there, brother.
Did
He
you
loves
guys
this
see?
game.
Did you guys see the clip of Julia's mom reacting to that spot they did to her?
No,
She
that
was
sounds amazing.
she was screaming like, "They're hurting Julia!"
Fair.
God bless. All right, main event time. MJF versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship. Um, this was a really good match, man. The crowd was along for all the storytelling beats and this, the bit on absolutely everything. Crowd loves MJF. They love and also hate Adam Cole when Adam Cole leans into the heel stuff. The atmosphere for this was really good. They did the double pin, double clothesline thing. I thought that was kind of misplaced in the match, in the sense of like there was absolutely no way in how anyone could like buy that, you know, because it was like they were kind of just wrestling. They were in like the second phase of the match, and it's just like boom, like there was
I'm not sure they needed to yell double clothesline either. I think people would have got it, you know.
yeah. But yeah, after the double pin and it going to a draw, Adam Cole grabs the mic and he's like, "Nah, this is bullshit." Asks MJF for 5 more minutes, which is of course links back to when he asked for 5 more minutes on Dynamite and MJF rejected it after their time limit draw last time. There was belt shot teases, there was ring shot teases, there was turn teases. Roddy came out and got involved, kicked MJF in the dick, tried to get Cole to hit MJF with the world title. He didn't do it, and in the end, MJF managed to get out of there with the win. Adam Cole was absolutely heartbroken by it, but in the end, friendship prevailed. They hugged it out. ROH World Tag Team Champions. MJF retains. We got the confetti and everything, you know. We got the victory speeches at the end. They announced AEW All In 2024, which got a huge pop for next year. Good bit of business to close the show, Joe.
It was the perfect way to close the show. And you know, the match, while a lot of its stylistic quirks and such were not for me, was undeniably like the perfect match for this particular program and story, right? Like this involved all the ingredients that the story thus far has had.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, you had the more dramatic storytelling with what the friendship means to Max. You had the comedy. You had some damn good pro wrestling along the way, which, lest we forget, the first match had an awful lot of, right? There's a brainbuster on Steel Steps, where it wasn't without action, let's be clear. You know, some of it was the kind of thing that's not like to my taste, but that they wasn't wrestling it to be to Joe Holbert's taste. They were trying to get 80,000 people at Wembley to react. And brother, they didn't just get direct, they built on the crowd's engagement. They were rocking throughout. They did an incredible job. I'm amazed at how successful this style of match was as a stadium main event, because I had doubts about the comedy stuff. It translated. I mean, there were like thunderous laughs for spots in this match, which is insane to think about, really. So, not totally for me, but I really appreciated what they pulled off here.
Yeah. Ibu?
Yeah, I second everything Joe said. I was just very impressed with how they were able to get everything over that they wanted to get over. A lot of the build up to this match is comprised of just little things that Max and Cole got over in on the TVs. You know, just a lot of little things. Max being shocked that he could pull off a tope, stuff like that. One of the big takeaways is just it's impossible to ignore is just how influential the Bloodlines approach to main event big show wrestling is. Because not only was its formula and style replicated here to a T, it also is successful in AEW, which is impressive. It resonates with AEW's fans. It pops the quarter hours on their shows, and the stadiums reacted to it huge. And so the trend of the business right now is people love bromance stories. People love stories about friendship, you know, unlikely alliances, that type of thing. And they like this kind of bombastic, theatrical wrestle drama thing that plays out over the course of a match, where a lot of the drama is built around who's swerving who's going to make the big turn here, the morality play between the characters, and all that type of stuff. And fair play to Max for getting it over, for recognizing the trend and deciding to do it, and also getting it over. Thought this was really dramatic, and I'm in the middle about like how I feel about that type of thing. But at the end of the day, it resulted in a fitting, absolutely fitting main event closing match between two guys that, you know, came off like top guys, you know, so really, really good stuff here. And the perfect closer for this event, seeing as it's the hottest thing in AEW.
Absolutely. Manny, you have a good time with this one?
Yeah, I liked it live, but I wasn't really a big fan of it on the rewatch. I don't think it's a good rewatch match. Um, they both guys worked their asses off. I think it was better work than most Bloodline matches. Like the work in between was good, and I just thought it was funny how Taz and Nigel just buried the shit out of this match during it. So yeah, great. Depending if you liked it or not, great way to end a Wembley show. So
Yeah, man. Ended with the big hug, the confetti, and like I said, the huge announcement of AEW All In 2024. And yeah, man, sent the people home happy on AEW All In 2023, their debut in Wembley Stadium. Very ambitious when they set the target of booking this show, and I think they absolutely exceeded everybody's expectations. Even Manny the Hooper, who we all thought was crazy for predicting, I think it was 75,000.
yeah, 75.
And they even beat his expectations,
Yeah.
So absolutely credit to them for putting off a very special night and a historic night.
Shout out to Kingdom Man for
America.
main eventing the show too.
Yeah. All right, let's talking of All In. Of course, we got to talk about the backstage physical altercation. So as CM Punk's match is ongoing, I believe Sean Ross Sapp tweets that there was a backstage altercation that got physical between CM Punk and Jack Perry. As previously mentioned earlier on in the review, Jack Perry took a shot at Punk during the match with Hook, referencing like the real glass, fake glass scenario that happened a few weeks ago. Apparently Perry wasn't very happy with how the situation was relayed publicly by those close to Punk. Punk's side of things, which claims that Jack Perry approached him, Punk backstage and stepped in his face and bumped Punk. Punk was said to have then pushed Perry. Perry allegedly came at Punk and got choked. Miro claimed that side of the story was fake and untrue. Other versions of the story allege that Punk threw a punch and that Punk stepped to Perry first. Other accounts claim that Punk initiated things, they exchanged words. Punk got in Perry's face and pie-faced him. Punk allegedly grabbed Perry in a front-face headlock and he was broken up. After Jack Perry left, eventually Punk was asked to leave. That was all Fightful Select, by the way. What else have we got? PW Insider were told that Punk had an altercation with several sources claiming Punk went after or hit Perry. Backstage of 2K, blah, 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 blah. A lot of versions of the story of how it played out. Some are saying that Punk started it. Some are saying Perry started it. Some are saying Punk only choked him out. Some are saying he didn't choke him out and he punched him. Some are saying that so-and-so pushed this person first. And it's the actual altercation itself has been very dicey in terms of information what's out there because a lot of it contradicts itself, And, there's reports from PW Insider, PW Torch, Nick Holzman, obviously Sean Ross Sapp. Who else have we got? Dave and Brian have added to it.
Torch added today that we have some quotes and dialogue. There's some pre-match dialogue that the Torch claims that Jack Perry went into his face and said, Punk said something along the lines like "What's your problem?" and Jack said something along the lines of "Do something about it." Was the quotes that the Torch got. So yeah, a lot of he said, she said, a lot of different slightly contradictory reports.
Yeah. PW Insider said that the prevailing story making around among those backing Punk is that Perry confronted Punk, leading to the two shoving each other. The other version is Punk was waiting for Perry when he returned after his match. As we previously stated, from there, the first story was Punk struck Perry. However, the version that is becoming most shared is that Perry was caught in a choke and Perry was ordered to leave the stadium. But yeah, Manny, I know you've been quietly puffing as I've been reading these reports out.
This is like when somebody starts a fight and then halfway through the fight they just shit their pants because they're getting beat up. This is what happens.
Always about shitting their pants for Manny.
I always say that
I almost shit myself.
No, because last week I saw a clip of a guy starting a fight against his bully or whatever, And she starts throwing punches, and the bully starts fighting back and starts beating up, and the guy at the start of the fight just shit himself, and everybody saw it through his pants. So that's
You said it like it was such a common occurrence, bro.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how it's kind of, this is like a weird situation because then you had the people that don't like Punk liking tweets like anti-Punk tweets like we saw earlier, and the guy had to change his whole bio and everything, and this whole thing about Jack Perry, and it kind of just hurts like AEW is the way it is, and how anybody can just I don't know, it just sucks, man. I don't know. I'm just kind of like dumbfounded about all the stuff that's going on in AEW. It just seems like they can never have like a good day or something. It seems like every day. Yeah, it just seems like every day something bad happens. It's like, you know how they have that sign at workplace? They say so many days without an injury at work.
Yes.
It feels like AEW is constantly going back to zero. Like, Dave's unfit, so.
But yeah, just a few other details. Obviously, Ibu touched on some of them, or some of the dialogue that was said. Brian and Dave earlier on Observer Radio said that security escorted Punk back to his dressing room and stayed with him for a while, and eventually security removed him from the building. Dave also mentioned that it was said to him that it was basically over between Punk and Perry previously, but of course, like, this situation proves clearly not. Then Nick Hausman also reported earlier on today that Punk going against kind of the notion that he was removed from the building, he reported that Punk, knowing that the situation was not good, asked them if it would be better for everyone if he left the building, and was told that nobody was asking him to leave, but it might make things easier if he did. Punk agreed, left the building on his own accord, walked to his hotel, and ordered Nando's.
I don't know. I still think it's crazy. Guys like Ryan Nemeth and Jack Perry can just go up there and talk shit to CM Punk, and
it's impossible to get into all this in 5 minutes. So all I will say is that.
Well, how much do you have to say about it, bro? Like,
there's so much that could be said about this.
Like what?
But a lot, to be honest. I have insight I could add. There's things I could break down about what this means for the future, what they should do, all that stuff. But really, on some level, it's funny that
how much of it is new, though. Like what they should do, what they shouldn't do for the future. Like.
Newsworthy stuff, bro.
Hey, man, tomorrow I'll be at it with Monty, and we'll get into everything, I guess. But look, man. I think it's morbidly funny that Punk got into a straight up fight backstage like seconds before he went out there and had the match he had with Samoa Joe, and he walked out there with a shit-eating grin immediately following this. It's unfortunate it happened. I question whoever put the card order together and decided to put CM Punk in between Jack Perry and the Elite's matches. Like, it was in a 4-match sequence. I just questioned that, whose idea that was. It's unfortunate that Jack chose to take the shot that he took, and it's unfortunate that Punk decided to fight him backstage. And we'll see what happens, but I think that ultimately, even if he is going to get disciplined, CM Punk should drop the Real World's Championship at All Out if he's going to be disciplined. They should do that first. And other than that, I mean, look, man, this is the story of AEW these days, like reports flying around, muddiness, clouding, great shows, backstage strife. As I said last week, the elephant in the room is always going to cause issues tangentially related to it, in my opinion. And in this case, Punk and Jack Perry have a problem that they never resolved, and it came to a head here. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be punished for starting it, Frank, because he didn't even start the fight. He just finished it. I mean,
it's debated who did what. That's kind of what Monty was
the
reading.
point. There's a big Tony Khan said at the media scrum. He came out first. One of the first things he said was like, yes, there was an incident backstage. We're still trying to gather the details about it. There's an investigation on it, and I won't be commenting on it. So, and as you said, Joe, like, the reports are very different in who started what and who actually done what.
Yeah.
So. Brian Alvarez did tweet earlier on today that the belief within AEW is that CM Punk and Jack Perry are both suspended pending the results of an investigation. Another detail from Nick Hausman was when Punk landed at Heathrow Airport for AEW All In on Saturday morning, no one from AEW was there to greet him. There was also no car service available to take him to his hotel. When he texted a number he was given by AEW for a driver, it bounced back as being an invalid number. After waiting for a while, Punk chose to buy a train ticket and find his own way to his hotel. We are told that the tube was fairly busy at the time. Punk got lost, and a few fans who noticed the Second City Saint helped him figure out where he was going. Very weird time for CM Punk in AEW at the moment, you know.
Is that how it was wrote? The Second City Saint? Did you just read
Yes.
that verbatim? Fucking incredible. That about sums up this whole story, doesn't it? All right. Yeah, hopefully you had an okay time figuring out the train system. Monty and I struggled with that when we went to Money in the Bank.
We did.
Surprised no fan filmed his conversation with other fans on the train.
Someone took a picture with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
There's multiple circulating. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the other big news from this past weekend, Mercedes Monè was at AEW All In. I guess big news that all of this has been All In, basically. Of course, we wanted to touch on the tribute show from SmackDown on Friday, but this has been the AEW All In show, you know. Mercedes Monè was there. She was pictured there earlier on in the day in London. People were getting very excited seeing pictures of her by the London Eye and stuff like that. You know, she's a big star, and when she's around, you definitely know about it, you know. And then, you know, as the show's going on at All In, she comes up on the big screen, and the crowd just pops huge for it, you know. She, you know, she's there. She's got the big sunglasses on. She's got a fucking big colourful wig on, etc., etc. And she just really pops me because she's like such a celebrity in like the wrestling space. You know, like she's such a just
She's
like a
box
proper
office, bro.
like a proper
Yeah.
celebrity. It's just it's really cool.
I think the funny part about that was the guy behind her because he didn't know how. Every time they showed her on camera, he didn't know how to react, and he just like looking like
It was
back
funny,
and
yeah.
forth.
But yeah, man. Fightful Select reported shortly after that AEW has had recent talks with Mercedes, which, you know, obviously it's something to look into. We could be seeing it soon. And PW Insider also reported earlier on today that the expectation backstage in AEW is that when Mercedes Monè is cleared, of course she's currently injured, she will be coming in for appearances. Also, they reported that the belief backstage was that it would have been likely that she would have debuted at the TD Garden in Boston for the Blood and Guts show if she hadn't have already got injured. So it seems like that's the perception going around, is that AEW will be getting Mercedes Monè in some formal fashion. Of course, she was there yesterday. Tony Khan commented on it at the media scrum. He said that, you know, he felt like it would have been cool to have one of the big international stars and at the show and see what they're all about, etc., etc. And, you know, there's potential there to potentially do something in the future. So, Mercedes, AEW, you know, do we think it's just going to be appearances, or do you think she'll sign a contract?
I think she'll sign a contract.
I don't know. I think
I don't think she will.
I think she really enjoys the freedom of just doing what she wants,
Same.
right? Like, it could be a contract that's specifically like, you know, part-time and short-term. That's different, right? Like, look, it's a huge get. She genuinely walks in as one of their biggest stars because she's one of the biggest stars in the industry, like legitimately. And she's also an incredible talent. So it's a huge get. Obviously, we have to be real in saying that Mercedes Monè, no individual is going to fix overnight the issues of that women's division, because it isn't just a talent thing. Like, there is a fundamental issue with the way they're viewed and used on TV. But it will certainly help to have Mercedes to do a TV main event on occasion, wouldn't it? I mean, that would be a hell of a luxury.
Oh,
so
yeah, 100%.
There's nothing so far that's proven to me recently that if she signs, the division's going to change, or the structure around is going to change. So people say if she signs, it's going to change. I don't think so, but I can be proven wrong.
Yeah, you got to be a real optimist at this point to really buy into that narrative. But yeah, Mercedes, Ibu, do you see it happening first and foremost?
I think she'll be on the Minoru Suzuki Tomohiro Ishii rotation of occasional appearances to just have a cool match on TV. And I think at the moment, given the structure of just AEW's creative and their women's division, I think that's the ideal usage of Mercedes, personally speaking, is for her to pop in, you throw up a graphic of her versus Willow, her versus Sheeta, let her come in like the big celebrity star and let her do that without having to watch, without having to see the angles that they would come up with for her, the promo segments and things like that.
Yeah, man. She could definitely be a huge get if, you know, utilised correctly, and that's always going to be the big thing when any big signing comes in. And to Manny's point as well, of course, it would be nice if the women's division was in a better state for her to come into, you know. But you get what you get, and I guess we'll wait and see what we do get, you know, with Mercedes and her future endeavours. A few super chats, and we're going to get out of it as Raw, of course, is.
Another thing that happened all that was Tony announcing that new pay-per-view. I don't know if you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we've got the new show tomorrow, you know, Wrestle Dream. A tribute to in memory of Antonio Inoki. Of course, it will be October 1st in Seattle, I believe. 1 year since Inoki's passing, and it's going to be, you know, like I said, a memorial show in the name of Antonio Inoki. It's going to be a pay-per-view. Tony Khan is hopeful that he'll have New Japan talent involved in it, of course, as you'd assume. But yeah, man, Wrestle Dream. And there's a few other stuff, but we're going to get into kind of like the more new stuff. We'll get into that tomorrow. Tomorrow with the afternoon show, myself and Ibu, we're going to go over kind of a very eventful, newsworthy weekend. Absolutely, we've kind of touched on it, but we just wanted to mainly do the all-in review for you guys today. And we touched on the main stories, but like I was saying, super chats, and we'll get out of here. Marcus Davis, $4.99, appreciate it. Been a sad weekend in Jacksonville. Of course, thoughts go out to all of those who were affected in Jacksonville recently. But All In was great and took my mind off. Shout out the WrestlePurists Twitch stream and all 42k that rocked with us for 24 hours. Yeah, the numbers that we did on Twitch, in all senses, were crazy. The runtime of 24 hours doing a 24-hour stream. Shout out to the guys that got that done whilst I was putting my feet up and enjoying AEW All In, you know. So I'll absolutely respect that grind, and of course everyone who tuned in. Big shout out to the guys, absolutely. Go follow us and subscribe on Twitch. Bob the Builder, $2 Canadian. What do you do next with Hangman? Samoa Joe?
Samoa Joe's too big for that.
I don't know, man. It's Hangman.
Jay Wyatt, something like that. Something compelling, definitely. Need a singles feud, definitely.
Yeah, Click Foley with $10. Appreciate it. I find myself nervously watching Punk every Punk match since his return, hoping he doesn't injure himself during every semi-risky spot. Also, where you put this Joe match among your favourite AEW Punk matches? And I think with the Punk absolutely is somewhat injury prone, you know. But it's like with the AEW thing, it's like the foot injury was a freak injury, you know. Like the foot injury was absolutely a freak injury, and then he wrestled on it as well, which made it even worse, you know. And then I kind of obviously the one that All Out last year was kind of the one that he actually got like, through wrestling. You know, I think he done it on a dive or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't really like watch Punk thinking, oh, he's gonna get injured, he's gonna fall apart. Like I don't really get that myself.
A confident man.
I got scared when he jumped off the top rope.
I love old wrestlers, bro, and I'm used to seeing them out there kind of doing the thing, you know.
I did get scared when he jumped and Samoa Joe moved on the outside and he just ate shit on the floor, and I said, oh fuck, he's done. He's not getting up from that.
I would say I'd have to really think about it, but I would say the only one that I'm definitely certain I prefer was the Eddie match.
Yeah,
there's no odds out. Like, I'm certain of the other. There's a couple like the Dax match, the Dustin match that I have close. Actually, hold on, the first MJF match on TV was great. That's difficult. I have to reponder that. That's a good question.
MA299, appreciate you. Really need Kota back on the juice for fuck's sake. I don't even know if that saves him at this point, to be honest. His body's been through a lot, brother. Been through a lot, you know.
Maybe some stem cells.
I don't know. Glick Foley, $4, appreciated. The Young Bucks contract's about to age like Timothy Mozgov's. I don't know who that is.
Well, Manny laughed out loud at this comment earlier, and I saw him do it. And he tried to cover his mouth.
Timofey Mozgov is he was a New York Knicks center, and he looked really promising initially. And the Knicks signed him to like a huge big money deal. I think it was the Knicks, or another team took him.
No, he was on the Cavs.
Yeah. Cleveland saw what he's doing in the Knicks and thought he was going to have.
Yeah, and he flopped. Okay.
Yes.
Greek Foley, $5. TK gonna need to attach some first round picks to dump them contracts onto Impact.
Yeah, that's
This
about the
is
Young Bucks.
spiteful. This is getting spiteful, man.
Yeah.
Master 84, 199, appreciate it. Jericho singing himself to the ring was unreal. Yeah, man, it was really cool how they pulled that off without Jericho having to do like a full-on performance and killing
It was
himself
cool, man.
before the match, you know.
Yeah.
Short on Spurs, $10, appreciate you as always. It's really wild how good MJF is at this age. Agreed. And it's at everything: in-ring charisma, promo ability, and then was the highlight of the scrum. Once in a generation talent.
I agree.
Too bad he's a Fed merchant.
Max is a star. He's an absolute superstar. I think he's the wrestler of the year, personally.
MA 799, appreciate you. Hey guys, would recommend Foley's pod on Terry. Great perspective and actually lifted my mood. Love to the WrestlePurists fan. Best in the biz for sure. I appreciate you very much. And I'd recommend that Foley's pod as well. I think I'm like halfway through it. And of course, hearing Mick Foley talk about Terry Funk is something that, you know, Terry didn't even have to pass to give me an excuse to watch that, you know. So yeah, it's a very nice words from Mick Foley during that part. Showtime $5, appreciate you. As always, Manny makes Skip Baddis look unbiased towards LeBron James. Never change, LMAO.
True.
Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah, I think Manny's objective. As well, yeah. That's my guy, you know. Got to
Monty's
support the
been
talent.
10 minutes reading conflicting reports on who started the fight, and Manny goes, "This is bullshit. Why is anyone upset at Punk? He didn't start anything." Look, he was there.
That's Manny, brother. You know what, Manny? I'm going to end on this because this is like a little bit of news that like I've just put in my notes because I know it'll pop you a lot. And it'll pop all of us quite a lot. It kind of went under the radar, I think, on Friday, of course, for very understandable reasons. And, of course, the action-packed weekend that was the all-in and everything. Claudio said that he will compete in the G1 before he retires in a recent interview. He said it's happening. He's like, that is one thing that I'm doing before I retire. Like, I will compete in the G1. So, Manny, who's your dream opponent for Claudio in the G1?
Shingo, but that was completely different from the news I thought you were going to talk about. I thought you were going to talk to me about the Hulk Hogan interview on Joe Rogan. But yeah, this is a close second.
I'm not talking about Hulk Hogan interviews. But yeah, man, fucking Claudio in the G1, pops me.
Him versus Ishii or Shingo would be awesome. Or Taichi too.
But yeah, man, it was all in. Great weekend, I had a fun time. Maybe where I was sitting as well, look, I could see, because it was so close to the stage, I could see when, say if a wrestler was coming out from the back to go watch it, like to come out and watch a match, he was right next to us. So like at the very start of the show, Sky Blue came out to watch the Aussie Open match. No, she's standing there, bro. No, if one fan's like, Sky Blue, can we get a selfie? And she was like, I'm watching the show. The show hadn't even started yet. She was like, I'm watching the show.
Yes.
Like, just pied this poor guy, you know.
Fuck him.
Emi Sakura watched the women's title match. Sky Blue and Aussie Open watched the Will Ospreay match. Will Washington and MJS mom and dad watched the House of Black tag match. I don't know what the special connection is there, but yeah. And Will Hobbs watched the main event. Came out and watched the main event. But yeah, man, it was a good time. It always pops you to see little things like that as well, you know.
Poor Amy. I feel like the whole show's a dunk on her.
Wow. I think there's other purposes to the show than that, to be honest, man. You know what? This is what I want to end on. We're going to rate AEW All In. Do you want to rate it out of 10 or grade it on a B, C, D, E, F level?
We can do it.
I want to do from 1 to 10.
Okay, we'll do
do that.
what is that? All right. I'm going to go with an 8.75.
9.
Yeah, I'm at a 9. A lot of it's the spectacle and the pomp and circumstance, but that's wrestling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Manny?
8.25.
Okay. So, good range, Chef. 8.25 to 9, you know. Yeah, I think that evens out at like an 8.5, I think, you know.
For some reason, I thought I was going to be the high man on that too. When everybody gave their rares,
the WrestlePurists Worldwide official grading and rating for AEW All In 2023 from Wembley Stadium in London is an 8.5. There you have it, folks. One of the best shows of the year. One of the great shows of all time. An 8.5 from this quartet of fuckers is, you know, literally. But yeah, man, we had a really good time. We appreciate everybody who came through and joined the stream and hung out with us, especially those of you who are still with us, although Raw has already been in... it's already done its first quarter almost, you know.
Apparently,
we're killing the demo. But yeah, man, appreciate everyone. Please like, subscribe, super chat. We will be back tomorrow afternoon around 1:30 Eastern, I believe is the time we agreed. And yeah, man, like, subscribe. Appreciate all the super chats. Please turn on post notifications, and we will see you tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, around 6:30 p.m. UK time. And we're going to get into the news a bit more thoroughly. Peace out.